everyone, and welcome to the Pikeville City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley Dotson, a time when we get together with Pikeville City Manager Donovan Blackburn to discuss things happening in and around the city. A lot going on. Many things have transpired since we last met. So let's go ahead and visit today, talk a little bit about some great things that have happened over the last couple of weeks. Donovan, good day to you.
Well, good day, Jill. It's been a busy time.
It has been a very busy time. Seems like one of the busiest Octobers on record that I can think of, at least in the last 3 years that we've been doing this.
It has been, and it's to the point to where everything has hit. All the labor that has gone in over the last several years, everything is hitting this year. So you're seeing the fruits of the commission's hard work and their labor, and it's it's great to see all these all these projects come to fruition and to see how they impact the community, and it's just really, it's really exciting.
One of the greatest things in the past couple of weeks that I have seen and been able to be a part of is the fact that our Commons area is now open partially. The first store has opened. We want to update on some things that have happened in the Commons area, Pikeville Commons area, the last few days. It's not just the opening of Hobby Lobby, but also the October lift station groundbreaking. We talked about that the last time that we met, but I think it's important to reiterate exactly what that is and why it was so necessary. I've heard a lot of questions about the lift station.
Well, it is, and it's understanding that a lot of work went into getting the property ready for development. And again, the fruits of all the labors was seeing people walk through the doors for the first time at Hobby Lobby. But there was a lot of work that took place before that, and everything from the tree removal project to the Thompson's Road widening project to all the new infrastructure that had to go into the ground to make not only that area developable, but also everything within that area down through there, all the way from Texas Roadhouse, Tractor Supply and back. So there was a lot of work that went into getting it ready for that point. But the lift station was another project that the line down there had to be upsized because of all the heavy volume of sewer, candidly, that will be created by all these new businesses and all the apartments. So having the line upgraded was one project, and then to tie that into the lift station, and if everybody knows what a lift station is that's candidly where the sewer flow runs to, and then it's pumped into a deep well usually, and then it's lifted into the next phase or into the next run. So there was a lift station there on the road. It was put there at that time because the sewer came running parallel with Thompson's Road versus now everything coming from Coal Run comes actually across 23 and across the river there. So when the line came across the river and actually through the Thompson's Road development, it tied into the lift station that was already there. The intent was to move the lift station so it can be relocated to the back of the property for two reasons. One is it needed to be upscaled. And since we were going to have to recondition and upscale it anyway, then to relocate it to the back of the property, aesthetically it's more pleasing, but more important, if you have ever driven and you turn into Texas Roadhouse where the entrance to the development is, you've got that big cage fenced area that's right there in the way. So for safety and concerns of people being able to have good visibility both left and right coming out of the development, it was also a necessity. So with all that, it was just another piece of the puzzle to make the development a reality. Not only, and again, Joe, I want to understand this, is not only just that development, but also when you look at the other side down at where the new library just opened and where Tractor Supply is, there's additional acreage down there for new development to come. And I know there's been several groups that have looked at that property over the last couple of months. I talked to the owner last week, and there's some interest that is forthcoming. So, and that's what we've always said, is business breeds business. And what you'll see is because of all these developments and investments, what you'll see is the additional property down there that's available develop fairly quickly because there's so much demand now. So last week we had the opportunity of hosting a person from representing the Army Corps of Engineers, and then also Congressman Hal Rogers made his way into Pikeville. He had several appearances. There was a lot going on in the community that day. But one of the things that we were happy with, obviously, is the $275,000 grant that he gave to the city of Pikeville through the Corps that he worked on, that he supported for the relocation of the lift station. So it's a great project in whole. A lot of times we don't like talking about the sewer and the water and those other components, but you have to understand that when you're putting together a major development, not just a retail development, but just allowing your community to grow, that there has to be infrastructure laid and there's got to be a lot of groundwork put into place in order to make something suitable for development. So that was the lift station project.
And a lot of people wanted a better understanding of what that was. Yep. But when you have those types of retail developments, and then you couple with that all of the apartment building or the apartments that are going to be placed there, those have to be serviced too. So wanted to hit quickly on the lift station, and that happened last week.
Well, and and the result of that is, you just mentioned, is not only the apartments, but we had the groundbreaking or the ribbon cutting for Hobby Lobby. And you were there. You actually, during the ribbon cutting event, had told me about your experience over the weekend. I had the opportunity before the grand opening to bring my wife down, let her do some shopping as well. And it's just absolutely amazing at the amount of traffic. Everything, and when I say traffic, I'm talking about foot traffic, people that are coming from outlining areas that are shopping at this development. And that's what it was there for. It was there not only to improve quality of life for those that we serve and to offer additional selection and pricing, but it was also a marketing piece to be able to pull the outlining markets into the city of Pikeville, because what that will do is that will create other service demands for other projects.
Yeah, we talked before we started our recording today that I was down there for a couple of different days doing radio remotes, and I spoke to a lady this past Saturday from Lenoir, West Virginia, another lady from Chapmanville, and it's a pretty good distance when you travel from those areas to Pikeville. And she told me, she said, the only other place that I could go to was Huntington, but this is so much closer for me because Charleston doesn't have.
Right.
That's where they would normally go do their shopping, but she says now I can come here. This is my second time that I have been in a matter of 8 days that they have been open. But I think just a true testimony to how a lot of people in the outlying areas that would normally travel to Kingsport, to Lexington, Huntington, Ashland are now going to come here because it is closer to home. And a lot of people commented on how great it was to have that opportunity here.
Well, I mean, it's amazing. And when you look at all the different, we were talking about this too before the show. When you drove through the parking lot and you looked at all the different license plates, and you found people coming from Tennessee and Virginia and Kentucky and West Virginia, it's amazing. I mean, it truly is amazing because you have to look at how people shop this region. Pikeville a lot of times is painted as a community with 7,000 people, and though that is true, what you have to look at is the whole market, and you have 500,000 people that lives within a 50-mile radius. Pikeville Service Center is over 200,000. So those are the people that are looking at Pikeville as a regional hub for convenience, selection. But those are cars or shoppers and families that would not have otherwise visited our community. They would have gone to Charleston, they've gone to Huntington if it hadn't been for those name brand stores. So there was a lot of different, this is one store that's open too. I was talking to the district manager that was here during the groundbreaking, and the store manager as well. And they're not only thrilled to be part of the or the city, this organization within our community, but they were absolutely amazed at the opening. They had a couple of other stores that they opened, and Pikeville absolutely blew it out of the ballpark compared to the other markets that they were in. And these are metro markets that they're in. But I come from retail, understanding the market, understanding the volume that places like Lowe's and Staples and Walmart does. This community can not only support a development like this, but it will allow other opportunities to bring in additional businesses that will, again, all those outlining communities will be able to come to Pikeville for their service needs and shopping experiences.
Certainly so. Coming up though, we talked about that being the first store in the Pikeville Commons to open. In a couple of weeks, actually next week, maybe a couple of days, Marshall's is going to open very, very soon.
Yes.
So that's just going to be the second store, and then the others that are down that side. I know you brought a diagram of the things that are going to be next to Marshall's. I was excited to see that when you handed it over. But those are going to be very fast, and if you're by there, once the shells get finished, the interior goes very fast.
Well, and that's part of the setup process. Most stores take anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks to do their setup. We're excited. Marshall's, my wife loves Marshall's as most of the market does. I've heard a lot of excitement about Hobby Lobby, obviously, because that's just a different type of store. But to bring in a national brand like Marshalls into the community and offer, again, name brand clothes with great selections, good pricing is extremely amazing. What I've got is a little diagram, and this was actually, you can find this diagram on RealtyLink's website. So I think it's realitylinkdev.com. So if you go on there and you look under the developments, you can click on that and it'll bring up this map where I actually pulled it off of. So what's unique is, well, I would say unique, what's amazing to me, Jill, is to sit here and look at name brands like Hobby Lobby, Marshalls, Petco, Dress Barn, Justice, Ulta, Maurice's, Rack Room, and Ross's Dress for Less, and to see them actually as part of the development. It is what again, I talk about my wife. I've got love her dearly, and she's just phenomenal. And a lot of times she puts things in perspective for me. So as we're driving down, my mind is on the building. Was to get the infrastructure in the parking lot. But she kind of woke me up and said, "But look at the marquee. That's actually Hobby Lobby in Pikeville." So that
I have that same experience when I see it. Debbie and I share the same fascination with that. And I think really for people who do travel outside of the area so much, the fact that when you pull into the parking lot, and I've shared this with you, and I know a lot of other people that I met there that day who are now shopping, who have traveled for years outside of the area, say it's really kind of a surreal thing. You hear it and you know that it's coming, but when you can pull into a Hobby Lobby parking lot, or Marshalls, or for people that love pets, or ladies that shop for their little girls' clothing, knowing that all of those name brands are going to be here within a matter of months, I mean, some within a matter of weeks, it really is an interesting experience and feeling that you have.
Well, the other piece of this is that business not only builds new business, meaning that if you build a Hobby Lobby, you get a Marshalls, but business also begets new business, meaning that when people are coming in and shopping at Hobby Lobbies and Marshalls, I guarantee they're also going to go over to Walmart, they're going to go to Lowe's. Not the same person each time, but that's just how people typically shop, is they visit more than one store on each visit out. If you think about going to, whether it's Lexington or Charleston, now we've got those same type of people that are coming here and they're visiting multiple stores for their shopping needs. So, this is a good opportunity not only for Pikeville, but for the entire region, because it allows local dollars that are earned here to be able to stay home and be reinvested back into their community by creating jobs and opportunities. And I've said it once and I'll say it again, that these jobs will not replace the coal jobs that we lost, but they are good paying jobs with benefits. When Hobby Lobby came out of the box, they were advertising $12 to $14 an hour. With benefits for their full-time people. I understand that they hired over 70 employees.
70. Mm-hmm.
And again, so if you take what the developer said, which was somewhere in the neighborhood between 400 to 600 jobs, you've got one store that's hired 70, you've still got 18 other stores that are getting ready to open, some larger, some smaller. So you're looking at, again, a tremendous amount of new job opportunity, paying good wages. I grew up in the retail business as a district manager, store manager for Lowe's. And I know what my assistant managers and, as a store manager, assistant managers and receiving managers, all the things that I've said in the past. So though that they won't replace those jobs, it is opportunity. It's given, a reason for our youth to stay home. So it's not just about the jobs. I think I mentioned this in a previous show. I was talking to a couple gentlemen from the university who were giving tours around the university, and what they said were the parents were excited, especially the mothers, was excited about the university, but they were more excited when they heard that we were getting a Hobby Lobby and the Marshalls and some of the other stores as well. So it does set with people. I mean, people are genuinely excited, and when you tie it all together with some of the other things that we're talking about, I mean, never, Jill, regardless, from the area, my dad was born in Pikeville. This is home, and growing up in this community, what you see, and I've heard the commission say it time and time again here lately, it's unprecedented growth. When you look at just over the last 10 years, and by the way, if you go to the city's Facebook page, there is a video that is there it's called a decade of growth. And it shows, it's amazing when you play the video, it's only 4.5, 5 minutes long, I think. When you play the video and it shows all the new buildings that have taken place, all the new construction, new buildings, the remodeling over the last 10 years, it absolutely puts things into perspective. We're very blessed. I mean, God has really blessed this community in more ways than we ever imagined. When other communities are in the outlying markets are struggling, Pikeville continues to thrive and continues to grow, and that's with good leadership. It's good with good vision. It's with the mentality of being told you can't do it. The commission has said we will do it, and what you see from the time I was growing up is you see all sectors. You see healthcare, education, retail, entertainment, tourism, transportation. All these different sectors are actually have some kind of momentum, things that are moving forward. So, I thank God for the opportunity and for the growth and all the wonderful things that we've been blessed to have. And it's nice when you get to see. And I'll mention this. I know it's later in the program. We were talking off camera, but it's just like last week. Going to Jenny Wiley Theater and seeing Sleeping in Safety, the Octavia Hatcher story. I think the show ends somewhere around the November the 2nd. I think is the last showing. But to go and experience again another sold out crowd. They've had almost a sellout of every show, but to not only be able to shop at a Hobby Lobby or a Marshall's and eat at Texas Roadhouse, but to drive downtown and sit in a quality theater it's an unbelievable performance of the Octavia Hatcher story, that story that we grew up with our whole lives, seeing the statue on the hill, and then seeing the storyline was not only amazing, but what was more amazing is when Holly, the director, Holly Doggett, was mentioning the groups in the crowd. The people that were there weren't from Pikeville. They were from outlying communities that were there to see the show. So again, it's just another testament of bringing people providing good attractions, quality of life, new experiences, but more important, bringing in people from outside our community that allows them to invest here. And I know took a little bit of a right, but I'll kind of wrap it up with the Jenny Wiley Theater. If you haven't gotten your tickets, do so. It's a show. I'm telling you, it's a cliffhanger. You're sitting on the edge of your seat. The artistic value is absolutely amazing. The sound quality, the stage, just the whole thing. And the reason, several of the commissioners, the mayor and a couple of the commissioners went to see the show last week, and Commissioner Gene Davis, who loves history, loves our community, a great man. He was almost teary-eyed when it was over with because he just turned around and he said, "This is why we do this, Donovan." He said, "This is amazing." And he knew the storyline because a lot of the folks that's in the story's about, which is the Hatchers, and a lot of us know we're either related to them in one way or we're family members. We knew the story. So to see the story come to life on stage is amazing. One of the main characters on stage is a guy by the name of Free Jack's what they call him, but Ratliff. Free Jack was the first pharmacist in our community. Free Jack is John Elliott. A lot of folks know John. Great family. It's his great grandfather, great. It's either great anyway. But the house that Free Jack built in 1878 is the house I live in.
The house you currently live in?
The house I currently live in.
Really?
So to see the main player on stage and how, and we knew the story. Fawn Taylor, who has since passed, was my neighbor. Fawn told me a lot of the old stories, but I knew the stories. And the house that I live in now used to sit out front of College Street. Free Jack's yard was the city park before the Bulls bought it all, the piece of it. But Free Jack, built the first story of the house. John actually shared a picture of the house before the second story in the back of it was built onto several years ago, with a picture of his great-great-grandmother and Free Jack in the picture with their kids standing in the front porch. So again, knowing the story and then seeing it come to life on play was just absolutely amazing. But when you look at the whole life of the story and seeing how how it's artistically told, it's just absolutely amazing. So I didn't mean to go on the take a quick turn. I know we got other things we're talking about, but you know,
No.
Jill, that's just how we roll.
Well, I will tell you that is. We just kind of go with the flow, don't we? But I will tell you this, that you are right. November 2nd is the last showing. So if you want to see Sleep in Safety, The Death of Octavia Hatcher, it is wonderful. I plan to see it this week. And I've heard so many great things about it. And if you grew up around the area and you've heard the story, you know, especially around this time of year, we start hearing the story come about a little bit more than we normally do with Halloween and everything approaching and all the innuendos that happen. It is a good story, and certainly just a great production by the people that are involved.
Well, and I've got the great pleasure of going back. I think we're going back Thursday. I'm taking my wife and her family are going with us. I've got two nieces, and I'll make mention of this also. So when you look around the community, there's a lot of great things happening in Pikeville, but there's also a lot of things happening in and around the area. The Artists Collaborative Theater also has a production of Alice in Wonderland that's
Right
going
now,
on.
yes.
And I've got, of course, my two nieces that I've talked about frequently. I got four, but two of them are actually in the play as well. They're a member of the theater down there and have done several productions. But again, another great piece of entertainment that's going on within the region that people need to get out and support. And I'm telling you, you'll absolutely enjoy both productions if you go see them.
Speaking of Artists Collaborative Theater, I was in Elkhorn City over the weekend to go watch the kayakers
Yes.
on on the river there, and I'm telling you, a lot of people traveled just to watch the hikers themselves. Or not hikers, but the kayakers ran into some people from North Carolina that come every year, and they mentioned they camp there, but they come to Pikeville to eat, do grocery shop, Walmart, whatever you have to be. And they were talking about the new development, and they said, last year this wasn't here, and here it is now. It's kind of like, what happened? But they were making comment too. So people from North Carolina even noticing, and taking also in Artists Collaborative Theater. Hopefully they'll stick around this week for Jenny Wiley. They're going to make a whole week of it here. And kayaking on the Russell Fork. Of course, Lord of the Forks happening next week. One of those fun things. Some other items that we want to get to today, a couple of meetings that have been held, commission meetings, special meetings that have taken place. Last week, there was a meeting with Cedar Creek residents concerning flooding in the area that has happened in recent months. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of water. The weather has certainly not been very cooperative with a lot of different activities and projects going on. But I know that you want to talk a little bit about that meeting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've had, to your point, a very wet year. We've tracked the amount of rain that we've received. And Cedar Creek has been prone to flooding for several different reasons. Not that I'll go into all those details. What the commission wanted to do, though, is they wanted to create a meeting to allow the community a voice. Because from the city standpoint, our hands are tied on several different levels. A lot of understanding that the main road that runs through Cedar Creek is actually a state road. The mining issue would be an AML project, and that, again, we don't have jurisdiction to address issues of runoff from old abandoned mine sites. So you've got the Division of Water. You've got the Corps, who also built the Cedar Creek area as part of the design or signed off on the design during the cut-through project. So what the commission wanted to do was to ask those agencies to come in and to sit down to listen to what the concerns are, to find a workable solution to try to address this issue once and for all. So we were able again we had two members from the AML, we had a member from Abandoned Mines. We hired a special attorney to help guide the commission on things that they can do. And then we also had our District 12 Chief Engineer, Mary Holbrook, was there, and then of course the Representative Leslie Combs was there for the meeting also. So they sat at the front table with the podium, and the front of the meeting was just basically an overview of what we were there for, and a few comments from the city attorney and the city commission. And then what the really commission wanted to do was to open it up and listen to the residents, so let the group there listen to the residents. So several residents spoke up. They shared pictures, some videos. They talked about their experience. They were a kind, great group, and Cedar is one of our major housing developments within the area. We have two city commissioners that live up there. You live up there, so the commission is concerned about the issue and wants the state and federal government to jump in to help to resolve the issue. So again, they created this venue to give people the opportunity of sharing their experience, and have tasked both the state and federal government to go back over the next 45 to 60 days and then to come back to the commission to tell them what they can or can't do in order to address this issue. The commission is committed to finding a solution, to holding, again, the state and the federal government accountable if it's within the realm of things that they need to do. So it was a good meeting, very productive. Those that attended the meeting was very thankful because it gave them a whole new perspective. The other thing I do want to mention, though, is that it was, of course, announced on the radio and then also during the meeting that if any resident within the community of Cedar Creek, if they have video, if they have pictures, or they want to just give an overview of their experience, please email that to me because that will go into a packet. And my email address is dblackburn, Donovan, dblackburn@pikevillecity.com. If they will email that to me, I will be putting that at the end of this week. There'll be a packet that will be going back out to those different agencies so that they can have something to view, to see, or to read, which I've got quite a bit of information. I've had several residents that I'm very appreciative of that, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If you can kind of show the incident and what it's done versus just talking about it, it has a different kind of impact. So it was a great meeting. We look forward to those agencies coming back and looking for a solution.
Absolutely. You hosted some very exciting guests, I will say, last week. Dr. and Mrs. Lyons were here with Alltech. They had a luncheon, if you will, just updating the community, showing some new pictures maybe that some people hadn't seen. Got to see a complete color rendering of what Dueling Barrels is going to look like, which is very interesting. They were happy to be here. I know you were thrilled to host them, as you always are, but a chance for them to kind of meet some of the different community members, people that were there. But also, big news today, we're filming now this on Monday, but a groundbreaking is scheduled for this afternoon.
I mean, this is, again, so surreal. Back to my point earlier, is when you look at all these different projects that are moving Pikeville forward, this is another one. And, which is the Marion's Branch piece of this. And Alltech is looking at Pikeville in Eastern Kentucky, not just Pikeville, but Eastern Kentucky, at what Alltech's branding can do, and by them investing in this region to stimulate the economy, create job growth, and that's what the commission's all about, is creating jobs. So Jill, and I'm going to back up, I don't think Pierce would Dr. Lyons, I'm sorry, would care for me saying this, but originally Dr. Lyons gave great respect and appreciation to his relationship with Paul Patton. And Governor Patton, because of their relationship, is why Dr. Lyons first came to Pikeville during the SOAR event back last year, or at the beginning of the year, okay? So from that meeting, Dr. Lyons, Paul Patton, and James Hurley had a meeting, and they asked me to come up, and actually Dr. Lyons wasn't there at the time. He requested the meeting, but he sent Nathan Holman, and Nathan is the COO for Alltech. So I had the privilege of taking Nathan and his wife around, and we looked at the market. Dr. Lyons then, I was able to get a meeting with him that I've talked about in the past. Went in and we talked about Pikeville, we talked about the SOAR initiative. He realized the role that I was playing in SOAR at that time, and he had a tremendous interest in Eastern Kentucky. So the rest of the story goes that when they came and they looked at the distillery and brewery and they looked at other investments, what Dr. Lyons' first instinct was to look for people from the area to kind of come together to create an investment pool to build something. But what he found in Pikeville was all the things that we're talking about: a great amount of pride and drive, opportunity, saw all the projects going on, and at that time Dr. Lyons changed his position, and instead of looking for investors, he decided to do this project all on his own, using the Alltech name. So that's where we were at. What a lot of people have heard about Mrs. and Dr. Lyons, Deidre and Pierce. They're great people. I mean, it's amazing when you hear their story anyway. But but what Dr. Lyons wanted to do was to actually come into the market to let the people meet him. Because if you attended the event, you'll never meet a more personable guy. He stood at the door, he greeted every single guest that came through the front door, talked to them, he retained a lot of the information. But it was an opportunity of explaining of what Alltech is. It's not just about a poultry or aquatic or distillery. there's so many more levels to what Alltech does. So the intent was to come into the market and to invite the media in and some invited guests, and to sit down with them and show them what Alltech was, and then to talk a little bit about the first project, which is the distillery brewery. And of course, they elected to host the event. It's something that they're very passionate about, and that's bringing performing arts, which they've got a lot of different things that they're very, very passionate about. Education is number one with them, and the university status and what they have done in the past with Patton and James Hurley and the university is, again, a big part of why they have an interest in Pikeville, and especially downtown Pikeville. So they wanted to have an event, and arts and culture is another piece of that. Is their neighbor is Jenny Wiley Theater, so they asked if they could use the theater to have the first tabled event, which the theater was designed for. The theater was designed in a way you could push the chairs back and have a dinner theater if you so choose. So this was the first event of this nature, to where Dr. Lyons came in, talked about Alltech, showed some renderings, engaged the crowd, just to give them a feel, and again to show Alltech's interest in Eastern Kentucky. The other big piece of this is, and this is very important, Jill, is that another reason, especially Mrs. Lyons, of why that they were so interested in Pikeville was because of the City Commission's vision and investment in ecotourism. Part of that being the theater is because of things like horse trails and riding trails and walking trails and river trails and the historic the trails and the racing and the seats and the theater, to name a few. And there's several other things. We got, matter of fact, some announcements. I won't make them tonight, but next Monday there's a couple of other announcements we'll be making in regard to the tourism at City Commission meeting. But what Mrs. Lyons, and even she stood up on stage when the governor announced the Marys Branch project and talked about that the reason that they were so interested in Pikeville was because of Pikeville's investment in ecotourism, because of the Bourbon Trail. You know, the Bourbon Trail, this will be the first part of the historical bourbon trails in Eastern Kentucky. When you look at the amount of people that visit the Bourbon Trail each year, it's going to bring more and more people into the market, and you got to give them shopping experiences, hotels, all the things that's been invested in. But the theater, one of the other things that they did during the event is they issued a $50,000 check to Jenny Wiley Theater, which is absolutely amazing, and it speaks volumes of their investment towards not just new business, but things that they're interested in. And as a neighbor, and as you know, looking at what the performing arts do for a community, they were extremely delighted to know about the theater when we first started working this deal, because the theater wasn't open at that time. But to see and visit the theater and see how it worked and all the components of it, they're really excited to be next door neighbors with another venue that's going to bring additional people into the market. So believe it or not, all these different pieces are connected. It's a big piece of a puzzle, and they all have synergy with one another. And so this is the part of what Dr. Lyons and them came in for. The other thing that you mentioned is what's happening today. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm very excited. I mean, I'm excited about all of it, but I'm excited to get to this point. And that's the Marys Branch, the first phase of the road. You know, by April of this year, the new road, or coming year, I'm sorry, of next year. We're still in October. But by April of next year, the road will be completed. The bridge won't be, because the bridge takes a little bit longer because of all the geotech and all the things that have to be done to design a bridge. But we will have a good road, an industrial style road where you can pass semis on all the way up to the Marys Branch development. Today's announcement is, or groundbreaking, is the first phase of the industrial park becoming a true industrial park. And I'm so excited because, again, this has been 10 years in the making. And, you know, you get tickled at times because people take some things out of context at times, or we don't explain them, and I'm guilty of that also. But, you know, I've had some comments, well, why did it take you this long? It didn't take us this long. The reason that our great citizens are able to have this wonderful park in their community is because it was being mined over the last 10 years and had to be released by the Division of Surface Mining. They bond these projects. It goes through 3 phases of release. It was earlier this year that the last phase was released on top of the hill that allows us then to develop the property. So over the last couple of years, the City Commission has been planting their seeds along the way to make today a reality. So what they've done is they annexed the property, they acquired the property, they put a $5 million sewer project to the property. They selected the property because there's natural gas on site. There's rail at the bottom of the hill that can be developed. So all those different pieces, it took us this long in order for the mining project to be completed, to make all the flat land available, and for the bonds to be released, or the phases to be released, in order for us to be able to develop it. So just literally 2 months after, not even 2 months, after that the last phase was released, we had a business, we had funding for a road, and the park will be suitable to be opened by hopefully, or construction will start sometime next year for the first business. So today at 4 o'clock, the commission, along with, we appreciate, because as you know, Leslie Combs, a great champion for our region, a good friend to the region, and a good friend of mine, was able to get an $8 million line item in the budget for the bridge. And then because of all the other components in the business locating Alltech, the governor committed another $5.7 million in discretionary funds. So we have already hired the engineer. The design for the road's completed. It's been bid today. BZAC Construction is starting the construction phase of it. So today is a day of celebration. Today is a day of a historic an announcement because, and I won't do it justice, Jill, but so when you look again over the last couple of years and going back over the video that's talking about the last decade, there's never been a time to where, again, the hospital just grew. You got a new medical school, a new optometry school coming. You got new hotels. You got new attractions. You got new retail national brand stores. You've got commercial air service flying, and you've got an industrial park all over the next couple of months, or I'll say a couple of months, all over the next 12 months is projected to create, I'm going to throw this disclaimer to between 12 and 18 months because somebody will hold my feet to the fire. Right. But what you've done is you've created close to 1,000 new jobs in the community. And those are construction jobs, those are management jobs, those are industrial type jobs under the agricultural brand. And there's other interested parties. There is 2 other businesses that we're talking to. One very interested, one is just some vague discussions right now that we hope to be announcing in the near future to locate up there. But and you can understand it's hard for people to make commitments to go up and spend, unlike what Alltech did, to say, okay, I'm going to spend $10 million in a new building when you don't have the road and the bridge completed yet. Once they're completed, then Insight, the company that AEP has hired, is extremely delighted. These are placement companies. They're extremely delighted about the possibility and the opportunity who they be able to be able to bring into the market.
You mentioned commercial air service and other things that are happening. We are filming today on the 20th, so a week from today, the first flight is set for Monday, October 27th. Again, a lot of people have waited for that day to come. Appalachian Air and everybody involved with that was here about a month ago, letting us know exactly when you could purchase tickets, when the first flight was going to be, and answering a lot of questions. So again, with our retail development that has just opened up, now we're seeing this on the 27th come about with the groundbreaking today of the Marion's Branch project. Things do move pretty quickly.
I mean, they sometimes take a long time to get there, but when you're finally there, this is what happens.
Fast.
It goes very quick. Yeah, and again, I mean, Jill, and I'm not hesitant to say it. I'm just being, again, as I always am. I speak my mind. And then when you look back at commercial air service, back in 2007, 2008, there was a move, a partnership that came together with a lot of the same partners that are at the table today, that tried to bring commercial air service under a different branding, Airzoul. And there was a lot of problems with that service. It was a 9-passenger, it was doomed to fail is what it would have been. But yet, not knowing all the facts, this community was willing to accept and was willing to invest in that. What we were able to do was step back, to look at our options, to talk to the nationals, to hire some experts, and to go out to bring true commercial air service to the market. Now, unfortunately, there was some delays. There was some questions that shouldn't have been, in my opinion, shouldn't have been challenged, but we had to answer those in due process. But we finally made it to the point that we're going to be able to make next week, which is launching the service. It's only going to be successful if people use it. You can buy tickets now online. It's a very comfortable. If you've been on the plane, it's a very comfortable plane, very safe plane. The organization that is flying has got a impeccable safety record. It is, and unfortunately, we had to rely upon other federal agencies knowing what we wanted versus what they were going to allow. And so some of the things, such as initially we're not flying sterile to sterile. You will fly sterile coming back. You just won't fly sterile going over. But there's been mechanisms put into place that accommodates for all that. Do I like it? The answer is no. Do I want to fly sterile to sterile? The answer is yes. But for very little inconvenience, the service is still here. Again, thinking back, that though it's not everything that we had hoped it to be 100%, it's still a great service. It's still a great price point. It's still offering our citizens the opportunity of a service that would have went somewhere else. So when you hear some of the negativity, and it's in the paper frequently, back and forth over what this did and what that. I mean, again, you've got a premier plane, good service people, a great destination, Southwest, which is low rates, good fare to get, no parking fees, no hotel fees, all the different components that makes this service the best it could possibly be in a rural community. So you can either embrace it, utilize it, or you can keep downplaying it and let it fail, and then we end up losing a great tool to our community. What we have found is that the business community wants it. There's a selective few that have criticized it, and they have a right to do so. That's what this free country is all about. But my point being is that what was projected a few years ago, this is head and shoulders above that, heads and shoulders above this. And we're excited about it. And we're excited to launch next Monday.
Yep.
Will be the first flight out of Pikeville.
The 27th. Also on the 27th, a Veterans Park groundbreaking that I'm very excited about, because I think that our community does a very good job about honoring our veterans and having different events. But this is one more thing that we're going to do to honor them, and that is going to be at 4 o'clock on the 27th. Everybody is welcome.
Yeah, I'd like to invite the public out.
Absolutely.
At any, and that's what, a groundbreaking, a ribbon cutting is a celebration. Mm-hmm. Usually there's a lot of hard work that goes through to get it to that point. And it's a time to recognize the labor, to celebrate whatever the entity is, and to recognize those that brought us to that point. This is one of those events. Having the veterans organization that we are so fond of, that have done so many good things for veterans within our region. The city commission has give up a piece of real estate that they host their meetings in to help veterans, disabled veterans, or veterans get their benefits. That's right behind City Hall. And we've worked with them on several other little projects, but this was a project that each one of the commission members was extremely delighted and excited about. And that was to create a monument, a memorial, a way to show our community's appreciation for those that gave all their life for our freedoms, our liberties. So what you'll see is, and it was displayed, there was a photo of it in the local paper, but what you'll see is a monument with the seal of all different branches, with the flags flying from all different branches of military. But it's more than just a monument. Behind the monument, there's picnic tables for veterans to go and to sit there and to not only reminisce, but to give respect for the friends and the family members that they've lost during these wars and battles and conflicts. It couldn't be a better location. It's down at Cedar, in between the Welcome to Pikeville sign and the new fire station. So you've got another group of guys that services their community in a different way, putting their lives on the line and being there when we need them, just like the military is, and being close enough there to where they can help take care of the facility and to monitor the facility. But it's a very respectful way, and we're extremely delighted. And what we want to do again is invite the public out to celebrate, celebrate a time to where this community is respectful enough to give great honor to those that quite honest fought for the way or quality of life of what we have today.
Certainly so, certainly so. Well, it is October, and that means a lot of fun things happen around our area. One new attraction this year is and I'm going to read it exactly as it's meant to be,
Yep.
Cut Through Mountain Haunted Holler Adventure. That is, the entrance to that is at Bob Amos Park by the softball field. But a group of people got together and thought, we have a great trail system, an area here that we can use for a haunted trail, so to speak. And let me say this, it is not one of those, you can take your kids. It's just what it says. It's the Haunted Holler Adventure, and all proceeds, and I will say this, a lot of your firemen and your police department, they are involved heavily, and all of the proceeds will benefit Shop with a Cop, which has been around in our community for so long. Chief Reed, doing such a remarkable job, but it's $10 a person, open every Friday and Saturday in October, and I know you have taken the trip. I've heard a lot of people that have gone through the adventure, if you will. And it's just something that's really fun for our community to utilize that part of our beautiful town.
Well, it is. And if you haven't been out to see, it's kind of like the theater I mentioned earlier, then it's an experience that you're missing. It's going for a great cause. And you're right, the police, the Chief Reed and his group wanted to do something to raise some funding for a great cause, and that's Shop with a Cop. Of shopping for kids that otherwise would not have a Christmas if it wasn't for these great men and women that again not only put their lives on the line daily for us, but also have a great heart for their community. And I'm extremely proud of both the fire department and the police department. These are two outstanding agencies that could simply show up every day and do their job, but time and time again, Jill, they go above and beyond.
They do.
They do so much for our community that's not recognized that it's amazing when you look at it. Everything from, again, keeping the cemetery, Dill Cemetery where Randolph McCoy is buried, clean, to building shelters up at picnic shelters up at the Special Needs Park. And I could go on and on. These guys are just solid earth guys. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to create another adventure, something that people could come into our community instead of just going in outlining areas that are doing these type of events, to do something that would be fun. So they enlisted it's not just the officers, but it's their family members. A lot of their family members are coming out dressing up. And it's just absolutely awesome. So it's a lot of great fun. It's a way to give back to the community. It's only $10 per ride or per person, but that $10 is some of the best $10 you'll ever spend.
Absolutely.
To make a child's Christmas happy, and you get a good experience during the process. So I applaud the work of Chief Reed and his staff and Chief Kahn and his staff. They're excellent folks.
I think this is one of the new attractions that we have this year that will only continue to grow and get bigger and bigger as the years go on. Nightmare on Main, one of the biggest events the city does, I think, all year long.
It is
literally. Going to be on the 21st. That is on Tuesday. That will be tomorrow. 6 o'clock is the start time for that. I was asking you before we started. I'm going to be down there a little bit before doing some radio things, getting everybody in safely to the event. But it's another, full packed house at the Expo Center this year on the floor. And if you've never taken your children, you got to go.
Oh my, it's an event that we look forward to each year.
I think it's almost, when you go around to the different vendors and people that are there handing out candy and the people that are involved with the city and the Expo Center, sometimes I think that as adults, I see more people enjoying it a little bit more than some of the kids are.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and I'm one of those big kids that have had the pleasure of enjoying it each year because it's. I keep going back to this. I'm going to use the theater as another example, and I'll tie them both in together. And that is, going to the theater and seeing a show is one thing. Looking at the audience and seeing the kids' faces that are experiencing that's worth everything that we ever do. This is the same thing. When you go in and you're able to dress up, to break out of your comfort zone at some point and put a mask on, and seeing the kids come up to you and warm up and hug you and just the appreciation, and then them able to leave with a bag full of candy from all of our wonderful businesses within our community. So you have a safe experience, first of all.
Absolutely.
It's a fun experience. The kids get to interact with other kids. We take pictures of different. One of the biggest hits for the kids is all of the sport or heroes that show up, and be able to have your picture taken. We put those on the website, so there's no cost that the parents can download, no cost to them. But to see, again, a lot of these superheroes that I know personally, I'll say it that way, that stand there all night and warm up to the kids and allow them to have their picture taken with them, posing, and it's just absolutely awesome. And it's a wonderful experience for the kids because they're absolutely thrilled to death. But more important, it's another one of those things that the community is able to give back. It's a way for we're able to, we got a great venue here, the Expo Center, that we can share that with the people that own it. And that's the taxpayers. That's the people in the community. Mm-hmm. So it's their house. It's their this is their organization, and it's a way to give back to those that work here, live here, have businesses here, for everybody to come together and have a real fun night.
One of those things too, we talk a lot about the Expo Center being utilized for concerts and meetings and things like that, but this is one of those nights out of the year that it's used for something different. And there are so many events when we talk about that happen at the Expo Center that people don't realize. It is utilized every single day, and what better way, if you've never been to an event that's other than a concert or a basketball game, you need to see how it's utilized this way, because every inch of that floor will be covered.
Yes, it will be. I'm stuttering because when we did it the first year, it was busy. The second year was crazy, mm-hmm. And the third year, it just keeps getting bigger.
This is 4 or 5 years.
5, I think.
This is 5, I think.
Yeah, I think this is our 5th year now. Yes. I'm trying to think who all.
I was too. I think it is the 5th year. But it is. And the one thing is that a lot of people may be working on Halloween night, not being able to take their children trick-or-treating, yep. but are off, say, tomorrow night, on Tuesday, the 21st. So if you are that person who wants to enjoy it with your child, then this is the perfect way to do that.
Well, it is, and you're right. It gives our kids in our community a couple of different opportunities. First of all, you've got you've got this event, which is, again, it's a safe event. All the businesses come together that cost absolutely nothing. Right. I'm glad you said that. And it has been, and it will be. And then you have trick-or-treat night within the community, that the kids get the second opportunity of going out and, again, getting more treats within the community. So, a lot of the kids get to interact with their costumes. As I can remember even me growing up, and that was years ago, having a favorite costume that you liked and be able to go up on stage at school and to show it off. And here is an opportunity where the kids usually get to do something at school. A lot of times they also get to do something. Now they get to do this event, and then they get usually, the third event, which is actually going out into the community and ringing on the doorbell. So it really is a good event. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited about it and look forward to it tomorrow.
Looking forward to it tomorrow night, certainly. So we mentioned Sleep and Safety, the death of Octavia Hatcher. That will end on November 2nd. So if you are wanting to see that wonderful production, get on down to the Jenny Whaley Theater, get your tickets. It's I can't remember the cost. It's a very small.
It's a nominal fee.
It's a nominal fee.
There's different price points per day. It depends upon. They've got some days that are a little bit less.
And if you mentioned different groups, if you're wanting to bring a group, they also have special pricing for groups, and they will certainly take care of you when you call in for that. Muscle on Main, November 1st.
Well, unfortunately, we've tried for the last 2 weeks to run Muscle on Main, the race, and we were able to get the Main Street, the car show in, but the rain hit us right when it was time.
It seems like it's caused the rain and the weather has really dampened, no pun intended,
no
a lot
intended.
of the different events we've had.
Well, it has been, and I'm praying today. We've got, of course, the groundbreaking at 4 o'clock, and the rain's supposed to move in around 5 o'clock. Possible 30% chance, but it was only 20% chance this Saturday, which was so funny. Yeah. But we got hit with rain Saturday, and we had to postpone. So next, we were going to do it this coming weekend, but there's a conflicting race that we don't want to compete with. That's fairly local, so out of respect, we're doing it the following weekend, which is why we're doing it on that date. So November 1st, come on out, have some fun. It'll be the last event, spectacular event. They've got a lot of things planned. I know
Larry has worked really hard and has been very excited about this, and it's been very frustrating for him because he plans these grand events, and they are grand. I mean, there is no stopping all of the activities that they have there and the people that come from all over to watch them. So if you've never been, now you have one more opportunity on November 1st to see Muscle on Main. One thing I do want to mention, the Commission just passed a proclamation recognizing this week, the week of October 20th, as a Safe Schools Week in the city of Pikeville. I know I saw pictures from a commission meeting with the city school administrators, Mr. Jones, Ms.
Yes.
Keene, that is their guidance counselor there. Of course, all month long has been this, but really a way to recognize the city school system, of course, Pike County school system as well, for their efforts in making our schools as safe as they can be.
Well, Mr. Jones was absolutely amazing, and which he always is. And again, we've got great partners in the community. One of he was very kind on his comments on his Facebook post. But some of the exchange, it wasn't just about passing the proclamation. It's what the proclamation represents and how our relationship with our school system kind of ties in together. And with Safe School Week, we have a great relationship between our police department. Once again, we're talking about a great agency, and the city school system. We have our certified officers, which goes down. They not only can take care of the traffic in the morning, but they go down and they do their walkthroughs through the school system to make sure that we've got a safe school. He was very complimentary, and Mr. Jones talking about all the other things that the police department has done for the schools, and that's just the kind of departments that we have. So it's a teaching experience for our guys, with the police department, fire department. Today the fire department's got a group of kids over going through the fire safety and on the trucks, and they get a lot. So the fire department, they love that. The police department, they love when they can interact and help, especially our young minds and our young kids out, to give them an experience that they'll remember. I still remember. I know I keep going back. It's funny what things that pop in your head. When I was a young kid, I remember going to a fire department and seeing them go through their regiment. And it stuck with me with all these years. These are memories that are created and that are in awe just by the great departments that we have. But this was a great way for the commission to proclaim and to honor and to look at what the school systems do to protect their children and what the department that we have does to protect the kids at school. So it was a great honor to have them up as guests. And it was a great proclamation to pass. So, again, it's a lot of great things happening that we're talking about, but more important, a lot of things that mean a lot to a lot of people. So, good times, good times.
Absolutely. Don't forget, today is the 20th. That is the groundbreaking, 4 o'clock, for the Marion's Branch project. Nightmare on Main happens on the 21st, 6 to 8 o'clock, a free event open to every child, adult, if you want to come and bring your children, absolutely. Be there, get there early. Get there early so you can get in at 6 o'clock. And then trick or treat. Going to be the 30th. That's on Thursday night. Going to be on the 30th from 6 to 8 o'clock. Pikeville and Pike County also having their trick or treat on the same night. So, Lord willing, we'll have good weather for all our little ones to be out and around.
I certainly hope so. It's a great time. It's fun to stand on the porch and hand out candy
and see the little ones.
And they get a lot of excitement out of it. We do too. So a lot of great things happen. A lot of good experiences. So we can't wait till next month. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas parades, and we got all kinds of stuff going on.
Lots of things going on, and of course we will always update our viewers
Absolutely.
and listeners as to what is happening. Donovan, we're out of time.
Already.
All right.
That sounds good.
This has been the Pikeville City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us. Good day.